Hey guys, it's Withered. It's been quite a while since I've uploaded a Peoplescraft video, but the wait is over, as we now have the final episode of Peoplescraft. And now, brace yourselves for one epic long recap. So, we had recovered from the massacre in episode 12, and began to build an outpost in the Nether. Then, we went on a massive expedition discovering the City of Oof, Sandy Town, a desert temple, and also a ruined portal. Once we got home, I built a shop to sell my excess loot, while Luna and Jimmy built a water elevator to get to the top of the mountain. Afterwards, Jimmy and I discovered and looted a pillager outpost, which happened to be right next to a village, which we later named Pillage Town. On the way back home, Jimmy captured the rare and elusive pink sheep, which he eventually named Pinky. Later into the episodes, Jimmy and I celebrated our birthdays with cakes and fireworks. Finally, in the last episode we covered, I made us an enchanting table, allowing us to finally enchant our gear. So, now that we're caught up, let's dive into the final chapters in the history of Peoplescraft. The 27th episode, Lucky Day, was really boring. It got the name from the discovery of an emerald and a dungeon with minimal loot. I'll just skip that. Episode 28, solo episode, was titled Lonely Again. So I went mining and found diamonds once again. I then crafted a diamond pickaxe and a jukebox with said diamonds, as well as 2 extra diamond swords for some reason. But that will all be explained in the next episode. Episode 29 was called Good and Bad. In the beginning, I distributed those 2 extra diamond swords to my friends as gifts. A little while later, Jimmy began to work on what he called an auto shop. It's an automated shop that will dispense 1 bread for every 1 redstone that you put in. While he worked on that, I went to go do some mining. And, of course, I brought all my diamond gear with me. But after only 6 minutes, a tragedy happened. I was carelessly mining an iron ore while standing on it, but didn't realize there was lava beneath it. And that almost caused me to rage quit. But I was still able to craft new armor and tools with my massive iron supply. And my friends generously provided me with new gear, which was nice. So I got back to mining. And literally 15 minutes later, while digging a staircase, I found more diamonds. So, in the end, dying in lava isn't actually that bad. At the end of the episode, we got into some shenanigans with Jimmy's new redstone machine. And after that, we went back to the house to check out a room that Luna made. It's called the music room. And it would have been funny to hear if we had actually recorded the game audio. After that, I finally ended the episode by trying to save and quit in the game in mid-air. But I failed. The 30th episode was titled The Warped Forest. As the name suggests, I found a warped forest in the episode. I had built a tunnel in the Nether, crossing over a lake of lava to eventually reach a very small warped forest on the other side. So, I gathered a bunch of warped forest-related blocks, and then took them back to the overworld to sell as exotic plants. And after that, I kind of did something really stupid.
Oh, come on, I dug in the wrong spot. What?
Don't dig straight down. You're breaking the first rule of Minecraft. Stop it. Stop digging straight down. Why are you digging straight down?
Because I really hope the stronghold might be here.
Yeah, but you're gonna get yourself killed.
And wait.
You
Wait.
ended up in the mine.
So, I'll explain. 12-year-old me began to waste ender pearls on fighting a stronghold because I got them mixed up with ender eyes. But of course, I didn't actually find anything. That was a waste. And just like the last episode, I finished the episode by trying to quit the game in midair. Episode 31 was called Redstone Raid. So, our friend Andrew joined us again to commentate. So, anyway, back at the house, I gave her a little tour of our house. Afterwards, I went back down to the main city area to build what I called a mob farm. In reality, it was just a cobblestone box with no lights inside. I don't really know why I thought that would be a good idea, but oh well. A while later, I tried to make another crappy automated farm, this time being a sugarcane farm. I tried to set it up so that a redstone circuit would detect every time a sugarcane grows, but I never figured it out, really. Near the end of the episode, a surprise pillager patrol came to attack our city, but Minecraft's lagginess made them harmless. And right before the episode ended, I went back to the mob farm. The 32nd episode was called A Bunch of Random Stuff, because, well, it was kind of a bunch of random stuff. It was kind of uneventful. The only important thing that I did that day was building a bank to store all the taxed redstone, and at the very end, I tried to quit the game in midair again. The 33rd was called Most Wanted, and it was a very, very chaotic one. It began with some boring generic Minecraft chores. Meanwhile, Luna's brother joined the world, and then secretly hid a sign in the music room that exposed Luna's crimes. He then logged off. Meanwhile, Luna was building a prison for anyone who breaks the law. And after a while, Jimmy read the sign, and all heck broke loose. So he chased her down and forced her by a sword point to be imprisoned in her own jail. And then the episode ended. Episode 34 was called Anti-climactic, and it didn't include Jimmy. At the beginning, I let Luna out of jail, and then we rode our horses out to the ruined portal on the hill. I had brought obsidian and a pickaxe, so I finally had the stuff I needed to complete the portal. So, I went through the portal, expecting to find something cool, and... yeah, it just spit me out back at our base. Anyways, back at the base, we found a strange terracotta pea that Jimmy had made previously. And, once again, I did another mid-air game exit. Episode 35 was called Lonely Another Time. All I did was capture a donkey to ride. That was it. Episode 36 was called The Big Picture. It began with me riding my new donkey on the way to a desert village. I had named this desert village Sandytown, but I ended up wandering in the forest and eventually ran into Luna. So, eastward of Peoplestown, we set up a small camp and made a tower to mark its location. Also, I named my new donkey Mike. We then went to a nearby ravine/crevice thingy, but we didn't find much ore. When we got back to camp, we made a ladder going to the top of our tower and turned it into a sort of lookout point. When we arrived back at home, we finally found out what that letter P was for. Jimmy was actually making a giant Peoplescraft sign. But soon after, a pillager patrol arrived and began to attack, but we made quick work of them. Afterwards, I tunneled really, really far in the Nether and made another leap of faith. But I failed. Episode 37 was called Nether Thursday, and once again included Andrew. I began by doing even more tunneling in the Nether, this time with the intention to find netherite. Of course, this is really inefficient. But oh well. About an hour later, I returned to the overworld and used my extra netherrack to build a cool frame around the nether portal. I also built this weird little courtyard thing on the top of the portal for some reason. Don't know why I made that. Later, Luna showed us the location of the new shop, where she would sell crops from her farm. She called it the Crop Shop. And that was the end of the episode. Episode 38 had a rather unusual name. It was called Paper Alex Does Some Chores. So, Jimmy had announced that he was going to move out of the shared house and build a house for himself. While he worked on that, I was also working on building something. I was planning to build a little town hall to hold official town meetings and parties. I also had plans to hold a Christmas feast there on the day of Christmas. Unfortunately, the spot I picked also happened to be the place where Jimmy planned to build his new house. So he changed his plans to build the house on top of the mountain instead. Halfway through the recording, Luna joined and showed off her new skin called Paper Alex. That's actually where we got the name for the episode. Anyway, I finished setting up the meeting room, then returned to my house for supplies. But I then discovered that Luna had replaced my floor with magma blocks. Once I got that under control, I got back to work. On top of Town Hall, I made a Christmas tree along with chests for presents. This will be important for the next episode. Once I was finished, I returned to the house to discover that a creeper exploded, causing a massive flood in the house. So I fixed that up and began to gather some presents for my friends. And then the video ended. The 39th episode of Peoplescraft was the Christmas special, but for some reason, Jimmy missed our long-anticipated event. Luna and I began by preparing for the Christmas celebration. I also made a new snow golem named Jeff, and let him be roommates with Bob. Afterwards, I ventured out to the top of a snowy mountain range on the other side of the river from our downtown. Near the mountains, I discovered a new ravine and also the southeast corner of the continent. Curious, I kept on going, and eventually discovered a new island, which I named Wither Island. Afterwards, I walked all the way back home in the dark. Back at the base, I dismantled my so-called mob farm, because it was extremely dangerous. Afterwards, we got tired of waiting for Jimmy to join, so we just decided to get started with the Christmas celebration. We had a tasty feast of chicken, potatoes, and pumpkin pie, and then we started opening presents. I was given a puffer fish and a crop shop gift card by Luna, and I gave her an emerald, some redstone, and a golden apple. And all the pets were given some form of food. And, like most episodes, I ended with another mid-air game exit. The 40th episode of Peoplescraft was about Wither Island, and so that was the episode's name. Well, I mean, not all about Wither Island. I did a bunch of Nether tunneling in the first half of the episode, but that's not really interesting at all, so I'll just skip that. So, I had decided to return to Wither Island, so I began my journey and found some cool lava falls on the way. On the island, I built a cozy little vacation house, while Luna started on her journey to the island also. But when she finally arrived, another pillager patrol came to attack. I made quick work of them, just like in episode 36. This leads us to the event of episode 41, titled Lucky Day, is the first and only episode in Peoplescraft to have a repeated title. We started the episode with a mining trip in an iron-abundant cave, which allowed me to craft myself some new iron armor. Afterwards, we went on a little boat ride to a nearby continent, and found a village along the river. But going to the village triggered a raid, and so we began to kill the pillagers, which was rather easy. The hardest part was the Ravager at the end, and once we killed it, the raid was over. Afterwards, I looted the village and tamed a horse, which I named Lucky. Also, Luna tamed a kitten, which she named Colby. She then rowed her boat back to the house to drop off Colby, and then came back to tug Lucky and I behind in a separate boat. Episode 42 was called Pets and Stuff, and it began with Luna and I heading back to Peoplestown. We goofed around for a bit, and then I had an idea. After taming Lucky in the previous episode, I then had both a donkey and a horse. This means that it would be possible to breed them to make a mule, which Luna named Brownie. I then fed him a whole ton of sugar, which caused him to grow up real fast. I guess sugar is the Minecraft equivalent of steroids. Afterwards, Luna began to work on building a pet house, which is where all our pets would live. And I did a bunch of mining for the rest of the episode, and that's about where the good times end with Peoplescraft, and where the chaos begins. In the final 7 episodes of Peoplescraft, including this chapter and the next, there were a lot of disagreements. There was a lot of death, a lot of arguing, jailbreaks, and conspiracy theories. and it all happened so fast it's hard to keep track of. Near the end, we found a Nether fortress, but there was just too much craziness, which eventually led to the official closing of Peoplescraft. So this all started in episode 43, which was called Bad Day, but it didn't start out like that. Also, it was the first in quite a while to include Jimmy. In the beginning, we checked out Luna's newly built pet house. Everything was fine for a while, but all heck broke loose 30 minutes in.
Fire protection, unbreaking 3.
What the? Emil was slain by hot dog.
What?
What?
Is that Porter's meal?
That's
Or something?
What?
Porter's mule had a saddle on it. We just lost a
I
saddle.
was slain by hot dog.
Why did you kill the mule?
Wait, who? Who?
Hot dog killed Mule.
Mew? What? Rest in peace. I'll get a sign. I'll get a
Brownie.
sign.
Brownie.
So, yeah, our newest pet had just been murdered by Luna's dog. So that dog got sent to jail. A while later, Jimmy decided to build his house at the main town center of Peoplestown, instead of on top of a mountain. A while later, I found a crimson forest while exploring the Nether. When I returned to the overworld, I used some of the crimson logs to build myself a new house right next to Jimmy's. My plan was to get everyone to move out of the shared mountain house and turn it into some sort of museum, being the oldest building in Peoplescraft. Later, another pet died. This time it was an unnamed dog that Luna apparently owned. And, just a few minutes later, Luna and I discovered that someone left a bunch of crap in Jimmy's new house. But it soon got into a really dangerous game of tag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, why did you hit me? Why did you hit me?
I didn't hit you. Oh. Fine, it's on.
Hey.
Accurate.
Ah, dang it.
Uh-oh. You're it. Ow, now I'm it.
I tag you again.
Stop tagging me over and over again. You're gonna kill me. Hey! You killed me!
What the? What is this?
Wait, what? Hey, no, no.
Now I gotta kill you. Dang it, my game froze. Oh, no, it's the war.
So, after all of that, Jimmy decided that we would have to go to jail. But, our imprisonment also got kind of violent, and I ended up killing Luna again. Then she killed me, then I killed her and took all her bread, which was provided by Jimmy. And then I accidentally killed her dog, because it was about to kill me. As revenge, Luna killed me again, and then quit the game. Back in jail, I immediately began to break out of jail, using nothing but my bare hands. But Jimmy found out and killed me. Then Luna and I both escaped, and all heck broke loose, but somehow I ended up in jail. And then I got really mad at Jimmy and rage quitted the game. Episode 44 was called Lucky Paradise, which was in stark contrast to the previous episode. It began with me busting out of jail, and was quite easy since Jimmy wasn't there at all. Then I went on a little adventure. But it got dark and started raining, so we decided to build a little fort for protection. We began mining and eventually discovered an abandoned mineshaft. We got some good loot, and also found some glitched minecart rails. Then I went back home and the video ended. Episode 45 was called Stranger Things, and had a lot more craziness, like episode 43 did. In the beginning, I disabled PvP in the world. I then began tunneling in the Nether again, in search of netherite. Once I was ready, I laid down some TNT and lit the fuse. A massive crater was made, but unfortunately, there was no exposed netherite. Next, I began to aimlessly wander the Nether, and eventually built a little fort by a crimson forest. Right before I returned to the overworld, Someone vandalized Jimmy's house by removing some of the quartz blocks in the wall. We then found the blocks in the weird courtyard above the Nether portal, along with a sign. No one can stop me. We interrogated Luna about it, but she claimed it wasn't her. However, she was only communicating via chat that day, but we were unable to tell that she was actually hiding something. So, because I believed her, I instead was led to believe that it was actually Luna's brother, Dogzaruni. When I returned to the house, I discovered the anvil was missing. Maybe, I thought, that was also Dogzaruni. But that all changed when I passed through one of Luna's rooms in the house, and I made a shocking discovery. There was a bunch of random blocks, and a sign that said, Emma's stolen things in reverse. Emma being Luna's real name. There are a few doors, 1 redstone dust, 1 lapis, and a hopper full of stolen items. So we began to suspect Luna for stealing all the stuff and making weird signs. But we then had this conversation on Skype right after. Hey, I found the stuff you stole. Me? Stealing? Nah, I didn't steal your stuff. I didn't, trust me. But I have proof. You stole my doors in one episode. I saw you drop it on accident. That was a long time ago. I didn't take anything else. It was 2 to 5 episodes ago. Yeah, but still. We found the hopper and the lapis. What hopper? And redstone. What lapis? What redstone? I have no idea what you're talking about. There was a hopper in that room with some of my items, like my missing shears. Huh? I didn't take that stuff. Oh no. What? It's worse than I thought. What is? I'm sorry for suspecting you. It's okay. But that means it must be a sibling of you or Jimmy. Just got to be Dogzaruni. Yeah. Or what if he is the only one who was in my house? Dogzaruni was watching you once. He saw you steal Jimmy's wheat. He posted the sign next time he joined. Then, maybe he found out about killing someone, then he posted the other sign. Then, he said he was unstoppable. Maybe he also stole the stuff and framed you for it. Yeah! He found the stolen things area too, and just put stuff there and framed you for it. Maybe he is the one that took the anvil too. Oh, yeah. So, as we can see from this conversation, Luna was able to convince me that it was her brother, Dogzaruni, that was the mysterious robber and signposter, even though she was actually the one who did it. In these last few episodes of Peoplescraft, we raided a Nether fortress, but we also died a lot. So let's begin. Episode 46 was called, Help Me! Began with me aimlessly wandering in the Nether. I found a soul sand valley where I nearly died.
Oh, no, no, what? It hit me as I ran. Oh my gosh, this can't be happening. No.
I'm trying to come to help. I just don't know where you are.
Oh yes. Oh no. Just run. Oh my gosh.
It's
So, like many times before, I boxed myself in and begged Luna to come and rescue me. But we had to end the episode. Episode 41 was called One Step Closer. In the beginning, I tunneled out of my hidey hole and eventually met up with Jimmy back at the Nether portal. Once I returned to the overworld, I was met with a sign. You think you've caught me? Ha! And then another one. Not. And then another one. It's not Isaac. And finally, I'm not telling. Afterwards, Luna showed me what she called a dog problem. Sure enough, my dog had a problem. But we needed to get going on our trip to the Nether, so I just left him there. We also began gearing up and getting ready to go to the Nether fortress. Once we got ready, we began walking in an arbitrary direction, hoping to find the Nether fortress. We walked through a massive crimson forest, and at one point, I almost died. We also did some dangerous bridging over lava, and at the very end of the video, we finally found the Nether fortress. The reaction was priceless.
Let's do an outro, but I don't know what to do for the outro. Oh, we found it! We found it!
Oh
Yeah!
Okay, I'm gonna do a victory emote if I have any emotes. Let's see. Okay,
yeah! Let's just do a bunch of remotes for outro.
Okay, Alan, your turn.
Double clap.
Okay, Emma, your turn.
Hang on, I gotta find something. Just a sec. Okay, got one. Woohoo!
Nice.
Episode 48 was called Hidey Hole. We began by staircasing up a pillar of the Nether fortress, slowly making our way to the top, and we began to raid the fortress. And so, my run was over, as well as Luna's. Fortunately, Jimmy agreed to pick up my stuff for me, so I wouldn't lose it all again. Back at the base, I re-geared with random tools I found in my chests. Also, I found even more weird signs, this time in conversation form. You have wronged. I have? Yes, you have. No, I have not. This was probably a conversation between Luna and her brother dog Zeruni. This is likely because Luna's brother has a history of accusing her of crimes. Down at the base of the mountain, I found another sign. Once you caught me, I will make sure you don't do it again. Afterwards, I began to demolish the jail, as it just caused us to get angry at each other. But I didn't get to finish, ever. We all agreed that the people who commit crimes will only have to pay a fee. Then I went mining and got completely lost in a record-breaking 10 minutes. So, I began to mine or pillar straight up, but my pickaxe broke. So I started mining stone with my axe. And after 7 minutes of pain, I finally made my way to the surface. Meanwhile, Jimmy began making his way back from the Nether fortress, digging a huge tunnel in the process. And then the episode ended. Episode 49 was titled Not Yet, and was possibly the most disappointing episode in Peoplescraft. That's because this was the last one. In the beginning, I went to the top of the tower from episode 36, getting a really cool view of the entire forest below. When I got back in town, I found another mysterious sign behind Jimmy's house. When I returned to my house, I finally managed to rescue my dog. Afterwards, I began to find tons of signs all over town, which all said, "Stoled." Well, two can play at this game, so I made my own sign. Give yourself up before it gets out of hand. Afterwards, we all began searching for more signs, and Luna eventually found one. She told us there was a sign next to my sign I placed, which said, "No, why would I do that?" This seemed oddly suspicious, but she continued to tell me it wasn't her. I mean, her brother wasn't in the world, so it couldn't have possibly been him. And it couldn't be Jimmy because he was still in the Nether. And it couldn't be me because we have video evidence that I wasn't there. So it had to be her. I posted another sign. Stop posting anonymous signs! I then began to continue searching for signs. But we found nothing for the rest of the episode. And just like that, Peoplescraft was finally over.
Okay.
Okay.
Alex, can you leave the game, please? Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you next time.
Let's all say bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye,
Bye.
Bye,
goodbye,
bye, bye,
goodbye,
bye, bye,
goodbye,
bye, 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 bye.
So, with all of this, I decided to close Peoplescraft. I felt that Peoplescraft just had a theme of working so hard for all this stuff, but always messing it up and losing it all. I had died in lava and lost diamonds twice. We had many incidents where our buildings were destroyed. Hot Dog killed my mule. I killed Hot Dog. In the end, it felt like it just wasn't worth the effort anymore. So, I lied to my friends, and I told them that I deleted the world. This was because I knew they would want to continue playing in it. They were really frustrated that I, quote-unquote, deleted the world. But we ended up just playing in other worlds. Luna eventually confessed to posting the signs and stealing stuff, but it was too late. I already had closed the SMP. It was over. Or was it? Well, I might just maybe have gotten into some shenanigans while the server was closed. The first shenanigan was using this website called Chunkbase. You see, Chunkbase is a reversed engineered Minecraft rule generator that allows you to locate all the structures in a world just from a seed. So one day, I entered in the seed for Peoplescraft, found the coordinates for the stronghold, and then went to loot it. The end portal only had one eye, so I decided to return home to get more resources. But before I did a little bit of mining, and found diamonds! And because no one was watching, I decided it wouldn't hurt to, cheat a little bit. So, I performed some sort of dupe glitch, which involved mostly just placing chests and dirt blocks, and opening and closing the game. I'm pretty sure this dupe glitch is patched by now, but this did work back in 1.16. So, I used the glitch to duplicate my diamonds in a chest. And then I left the game and forgot about it for years. That was until one day on a really long, boring car trip. I was looking through all my old Minecraft worlds on my tablet and eventually stumbled across Peoplescraft. I opened up my world and found myself at the spot where I duped my diamonds. I wanted to see our old base, so I used my map to navigate back to Peoplestown. I rode on my horse Lucky, but at some point left her on a cliff and forgot about her. Back at the base, I tore down my ugly-looking house that was next to Jimmy's and replaced it with the foundation of a new one. The design included deep slate, as the full Caves and Cliffs update just barely came out. When I got back from my car trip, I decided to transfer my world to the PC, as I had purchased Bedrock Edition for Windows 10. There I continued to mine resources and work on my new house. But one time I had a different friend visit my world. He was dragon furious. At some point, he discovered Lucky on the cliffside and claimed her as his own horse. He named her Gargoyle, but I didn't stop him, because I had forgotten about Lucky. And then Dragon Furious left the world. But about a year later, I finally told Jimmy and Luna that Peoplescraft was never deleted, and we arranged a time to play in the world again, after all these years. And it was really fun. So, what's next for Peoplescraft? I'll probably make a video about the renaissance of Peoplescraft sometime in the future. But for now, this is the entire history of Peoplescraft. From the beginning, cowering in wooden boxes, to the end, fighting to the death in jail and raiding the Nether fortress. It's a really strange but interesting story, and I have actually noticed quite an interesting theme in all of this. I have died so many times in this world. We have lost so much. This includes pets, diamonds, enchanted tools, valuables, and so much more. And at the moment, I always got frustrated and questioned why was I even playing in this world anymore. But despite these hardships, we've moved on. It goes to show that one failure doesn't end the whole thing, and that it's not hard to recover from these kinds of mistakes. So, now that this monstrosity of a documentary is over, it's finally time to roll the credits. So, I would like to thank you guys so much for watching all of this. I've spent nearly a year of my free time while starting high school to make these videos. So, I'm glad for all you guys that supported me along the way. It's been fun, but to be honest, I'm getting a little burned out from YouTube. So, I'll be taking a break from making these super long series and instead just focus on making what I enjoy. Adios.